I think we're all gonna die. Oh, Columbia Pictures, the gall of you to dangle the carrot of hope in front of the viewer, hoping that the suffering might end sooner than it actually did. The continuation of a franchise that was once proud, celebrating 100 years of Columbia Pictures. And this is what you do. This is how you continue. The bustin' makes it feel good. Yeah. Yeah. How very fucking dare you. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is a continuation of the Ghostbusters franchise. Remember these movies? Remember when Ghostbusters actually was a good franchise with promise? Even if Ghostbusters 2 had some issues, it was still pretty goddamn entertaining. Yeah, they mix serious and humor and great writing and just a lot of really good witty shit going on with a cast that had fucking chemistry and actual life to it. God fucking damn it. Oh, Harold Ramis has more goddamn life to him than this fucking movie. Am I making it obvious how I felt about Ghostbusters Frozen Empire? I will explain why in due course. Why I did not care for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. But it was this time written and directed by Gil Kennan, who actually wrote Ghostbusters Afterlife. And this time, he took over directorial duties because Jason Reitman said, I don't want to have anything to do with directing this. I'm going to do another project with Blackjack and Hooker, so Gil, you take over. And then it's Gil's day. And, oh, God, my back. I think Gil from The Simpsons could have done something better than this. Yeah, he did Monster House. He also, unfortunately, did the remake of Poltergeist. Remember the remake of Poltergeist? That nobody fucking wanted, including the surviving members of the cast. Hell, I think even the girl that played Carol Ann probably rose from the grave and said, what the fuck were you thinking? Am I making it clear as to just how much I despise Ghostbusters Frozen Empire? And I will explain why I did. Okay, the first Ghostbusters, iconic, sure. There are some people that feel that Ghostbusters 2 is better. That's fine. You are entitled to your opinion. And then the Ghostbusters animated show. Fabushon. A lot of entertaining shit going on there. And I talked about this with my Ghostbusters 2, 2016 Ghostbusters Answer the Call, then hang up and try again, dust yourself off and try again, and then Ghostbusters Afterlife. That pretty much brought the legacy characters back and then tried to find a way to spur it off with a new family of Ghostbusters in a film called Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. And boy, this thing was goddamn ice cold and never warmed up at all. So, returning cast members, McKenna Grace is back as Phoebe. Remember how she had life and energy and was the best part of Afterlife? Yeah, she doesn't get much of a chance to show that here. I mean, a little, not much. And you had Annie Potts as Janine. She returns. Callie, who's played by Carrie Coon. I feel dirty saying that name. She's back. Paul Rudd is back. And Finn Wolfhard is back. So, yeah, you have the people from before, obviously, with Afterlife in the rearview mirror. Not being particularly all that great, having a little bit of nice nostalgia, but it also hit you over the fucking head to the point that you were going to get a brain injury. Speaking of brain injuries, I'm convinced that Gil Kennan and Jason Reitman must have suffered them, or must have taken everybody to task and said, we are just going to make a Ghostbusters movie with the most limited amount of humor that lands possible. I.e. none. There was no humor landed in this goddamn movie. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Remember the guy from The Big Sick? Yeah, he's also in this. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce his name because I would likely butcher the spelling, but he's pretty funny. Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, Celeste O'Connor, who was recently in Madam Web. And I don't know if Madam Web is the worst thing that she was in this year. Patton Oswalt is here, somehow being about as funny as he was in the MST3K reboot. You know how the host segments were hit and miss with the original MST3K? Yeah, well, they were even worse there. So, William Atherton, who was, or Atherton, I might have screwed that up. Remember, the guy who's in Die Hard and also was Peck in the original? Yeah, he's back. And Emily Allen Lind, who I've seen in other stuff before. She was in Babysitter Killer Queen. I think she might have also been in the original Babysitter. I don't honestly remember because This movie made me wish that the Ghostbusters had never been created. I wish this IP never existed. If I had a monkey's paw, I would make sure to wish that this entire franchise went into the cornfield and never came back. Let's explain why. There's a ghost that can freeze people with the power of fear. That's it. That's your lot right there. It's following the same rehashing, new family, legacy characters, all that. And that would be fine, except Ghostbusters Afterlife already did that, not particularly well. And while I'm glad that the legacy characters are back, it feels like they are going to the well one too many times, which they already were kind of doing with Ghostbusters 2, and that was 35 fucking years ago. I don't know what the budget for this particular film was exactly, but nothing's been nailed down. 100 million is probably my guess. Because Afterlife was actually a fairly decent success somehow, despite being dog shit. And, yeah, the character of Nadim, Kumai Nanjiani, see, totally screwed that goddamn thing up. The guy from The Big Sick. He said that opening line, and if you've seen the movie, you know why. So we start in 1904, New York City, and after a cataclysmic event, we smash cut to the Ghostbusters, the new Ghostbusters. You know, the new Ghostbusters that have about half the charisma of Harold Ramis's corpse. And that seems mean, and I'm talking about the characters. I'm not even talking about the actors themselves, because there's some terrific acting here. Finn Wolfhard doesn't really seem like he cares all that much, but nevertheless. McKenna Grace is a standout and will have a bright future in Hollywood should she want to stay around. She's not given much to do here, though. And then there's Ernie Hudson's character apparently is just, now super rich and is able to fund a whole bunch of stuff. And now there's this idea that this ancient cataclysmic, demonic entity thing called Garaka, the frozen monster. The one that you might have seen in the trailer. Sorry if you haven't seen the trailer. Sorry if you didn't know this movie was coming out. I wish that this movie hadn't come out. I wish this movie had been sent into the earth. They have to stop it. And from there, we have a Ghostbusters movie. And this is right on par with the 2016 one. In fact, the 2016 one might actually get more of a pass than this. And I will explain why. As bad as that movie was, they didn't try to continue that storyline. Afterlife tried to continue the honoring of the legacy characters from the other one, and didn't do it great, did it better than the 2016 one. And then you have this. And you have this where it just feels like, hey, look at all these references that we did in these previous movies. Remember the Ghostbusters in 84 when they did the stuff and everything and it was a smash hit? Remember Ghostbusters 2 when we had Vigo and his vigorous goo and Peter Nichols trying to make it work and everything, and Sigourney Weaver and life and energy and good shit. Remember when movies were good? Remember when IPs actually could be honored and good? Maybe I'm being a bit too harsh on this movie, but I didn't have high expectations, and the first chase scene, I'm like, oh fuck. Oh, this is what we're doing. This is what we're going with. Gil Kennan cannot direct a movie to save his life, evidently. Maybe it was studio interference. Maybe the studio was taken over by AI bots. Maybe it was taken over by ghosts. The ghosts would have written a better movie. They would have directed a better movie. One of the ghosts from Scooby-Doo would have directed something better. And, by the way, one of the ghosts was actually a human, a pretty dumb human, because it got caught by a bunch of high people, and also, too, that were constantly going off and boinking each other, while Velma was just left to say, where's a woman around here? I don't know why I decided to go off on that tangent. So, more references and more stuff being beaten into your skull. And, oh, look at this. It's about family and everything. And, yes, it's about family, but it doesn't mean anything because it feels like we jumped a few years, but we also didn't go anywhere. We're stuck in a goddamn rut and we're going backwards. And any of the times that they try to make it interesting with ghosts doing certain things, it doesn't even feel like it has the energy of Afterlife. It doesn't even have the energy of the 2016 one. And the special effects in this do not look good. I'm sorry. Graka does not look impressive at all. Like, it just stands there and then does stuff and is a big old horny monster. And, the attempts I can't stress enough how the attempts at comedy are terrible. Everything lands with a thud. did Reitman and Kennan just say, we can't actually make anything funny anymore, let's just write shit, and then have the people perform it in the blandest way possible? I don't know if this is coming across, but I did not really fucking enjoy Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I'm going to get into why in the spoiler section here in a bit. It's in theaters if you want to check it out. But as far as taking your kids to it, your kids might be bored. If you're a super fan of the Ghostbusters movies, maybe you'll enjoy it. And I enjoyed the first two and tried to find some, good stuff in Afterlife. But this has been a total misfire. This was worse than Afterlife by far. Because it felt like they were trying to smash 1 and 2 together. And the serious tone did not help. The serious tone did not help one bit. They should have tried to make the humor work, but then again, I just mentioned the jokes didn't land. Nothing meshed. Nothing meshed at all. Nobody was in danger, and nothing got solved. No progression, nothing. And this is a spoiler here. They're going to imply that they're going to do a sequel. You have got to be fucking kidding me. It feels like we're going backwards in the franchise. Speaking of going backwards, this movie needed to go backwards. Needed to be sent over a cliff, blindfolded. So anyway, I'm getting into spoilers, just so you know. 3, 2, 1, in theaters. Spoilers. Yeah, busted makes me feel good. Yeah, this movie need to be busted. Need to have his kneecaps goddamn busted. Okay. So, basically, Peck is the mayor, William. And after a certain thing where the Ghostbusters are destroying property, but trying to catch this weird Chinese dragon thing. That's a ghost that's just around. The mayor says, "Oh, you caused all this destruction, so yeah, we can't have you do that." And wait a second, she's a minor. You can't do that, and you're not paying her. That's child labor stuff. So now she can't do it, even though she's the best Ghostbuster. And then there's a ghost played by Miss Lind, who is a bright young actress, and hopefully will be in better stuff than this. Hopefully, McKenna Grace will be. You just couldn't leave well enough. You just couldn't fucking leave well enough alone, could you? There's a friendship between Melody, Emily, and McKenna Grace's Phoebe. There's this time where they're playing chess, and then it turns out that actually Emily has these nefarious things where she is being controlled by Graca to get a way to free him from this weird ball that's like all these little squares and all this little stuff and everything, and it's like a little orb that goes here and just rests your head, and oh look, I'm going to be freed if I can possess somebody and make them chant weird shit that nobody has spoken. Patton Oswalt, by the way, is in one scene, and that's the best they could provide for him. That is the best. I think some of the MST3K writers from the most recent seasons had something to do with this, because they just kept flooding jokes. Oh, look, Paul Rudd's being funny. It didn't work here. And Carrie Coon, who tried to make Jesus, it's painful, so painful. How dare you, Gil Ken? What the fuck is wrong with you? How dare you, Columbia Pictures? What is wrong with you? So, yeah, basically the idea is, in the beginning, there was rap as our Lord and Savior Dr. Dre once said, 1904, Frozen deal, where this dinner, people are frozen, and then there's this person that's frozen that had this ball that freed this demon, maybe, somehow. I'm actually not sure. Or maybe the demon got trapped, actually, because Nadim, it turns out, is trying to sell off his grandmother's stuff after she passed away. She had this weird room that was all soundproofed, because sound angers Graca, because he can control people if he can hear. But if he can't hear certain things, he can do, I guess, I don't really know. It's just some weird layer thing in this New York apartment that's like a studio apartment, yet it has this torture room. The family dynamic is absolutely goddamn wasted. Speaking of wasted, I would have almost rather been wasted than watch this. And I don't drink. Thank you, Gil Cannon and Jason Reitman. You were driving me to want to drink. Thank you, you two assholes. And apparently this was dedicated to Ivan Reitman. And look, I'm sure that Ivan probably would have said, "Good job, son, you made a movie." Look, I don't know anything about their family dynamic, but Ivan Reitman made good stuff. This was not good. This was not good at all. So, the legacy characters get involved eventually. Dan Aykroyd and Ernie Hudson work on this whole thing. There's this one guy that's super smart, but then he touches the orb and freezes his hand, and now his hand's hurt and everything, and it kills you with the death chill, a death chill that will freeze you, and it'll turn everything into, it'll freeze the water in you and your tear ducts and all this and it'll just kill you. But I'd rather had the death chill than this, because this movie was a death chill, because this had to have killed the franchise. It had to have. Yeah, there's a thing between Melody and Phoebe, where Phoebe basically wants to know what it's like to live like a ghost. So eventually she decides to do a particle separation thing, and Melody's like, great. And then she does it, and then it turns out that Melody did it as a way to have Graca open up the afterlife to the other side so she can go see her parents. But the only way to do that is to have Phoebe, as a ghost, be possessed and say this stuff. What? Why didn't you just use Emily? Melody. Why didn't you just use her? She was literally right there. Could you just... Maybe they had to be recently dead. I don't know. I don't care. I don't fucking care at this point. So, also these, this ice flow stuff and these quakes and all this seismic activity is causing the containment unit to burst, and things are going to get really, really bad. So Ernie Hudson says, I'm going to make a new facility with blackjack and hookers and a containment facility, a containment unit. This movie's more like a eunuch. In fact, it should have been lopped off at the goddamn head. Nevertheless, big as the Old West. And that will seemingly take us into the future. This fictitious future where ghosts are contained. So, yeah, then the facility goes basically tits up a couple times. Phoebe ends up freeing Graca. So then he's setting the world ablaze with ice. That doesn't really make any sense. And she comes up with the bright idea, hey, wait a second. All this weird stuff's going on. These metals don't work that we use in our proton packs. So let's come up with brass, because it was a big brass ball. This movie deserved a big brass ball to the head till they fell down and didn't wake up. I know it's just a movie, and I know it's supposed to be for entertainment, but that only helps when you have entertainment in it. Now, this character Nadim, it turns out because he touched this ball, he has a psychic link. And also because his grandmother was the last of this lineage that had originally trapped, Graca in this ball. And that you had to protect the ball. Also, he's a fire master. Are you the fire keeper? We get it. The gate master. Are you the gatekeeper? We fucking get it. The key master. Screwed it up. I don't fucking care at this point. So he has to manipulate fire, and he has to figure it out. But then the lighter runs out while Graca's coming in and... Also, there's this ghost called Possessor. That not the Cronenberg movie, the son of Cronenberg. Not that, which wasn't good. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. Possessor that basically bounces around like a little red light and everything. It's like the laser pointer that a cat would chase after. I think that actually explains the writing here, because I think everybody, involved in this just treat it like a cat with a laser pointer. Ooh, wait, what are we writing? So yeah, this Possessor eventually ends up possessing a thing called Possessor, possessing things. Possesses Ecto-1 and turns it into Christine for about 5 seconds. The containment unit gets opened up, and now the ghosts are flowing out, and all this crap. And no trap can contain him. Also, the character of Podcast is back. That character that meant absolutely nothing. I got nothing against the kid, but the character meant absolutely nothing. Celeste O'Connor is basically reduced to absolute shit. It's like everybody was just plucked from Afterlife, and they said, yeah, we sort of gave you characters in that one, and we're not going to bother doing that here. We're just going to rehash the 84 and 89 versions, only not as good because we aren't talented. And giant trap. The proton pack won't work. Basically, he's freezing him. Also, he had horns and he had to stick back into his head. The source of his power. It's like Samson for idiots. So anyway, he's doing all this. And then Melody feels terrible about what she did. And had a pack of matches somewhere. And just decided to light a match and then Suddenly, Nadim just can control fire out of nowhere. Cinderella story. He did control a proton pack thing earlier, and he suddenly has his powers and then is doing this, and they can't quite beat him back. And then the family bands together and gets this, and they get the fire, and they get all this, and then, yeah, Gracka gets trapped in the goddamn floor. And then they have to go chase after Slimer. Yeah, there was a running gag with Slimer. And you know when it was funny? Not in this movie. Yeah. Finn Wolfhard is better than this. At least I think he's better than this. I do not understand why they wanted to do, this movie as badly as they did. Also, they had a bunch of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Men that, were all individuals in Afterlife. Well, now they're individuals and they're mating like lemmings. Assuming lemmings mate and don't just spontaneously, immaculately conceive. I'm going to see Immaculate after this, by the way, just so you know. Yeah, F. This gets an F. This gets a... How dare you? How dare you, Columbia Pictures? How dare you, Gil Kennan? How dare you? How very dare you? I cannot believe that a Ghostbusters movie could be this bad. You know what? This is worse than the 2016 version. Because at least with the 2016 version, it had been a number of years. You would have thought they would have learned and made it better after Afterlife. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. God damn it. Agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rickland. I'll see you soon.